There are moments when you choose silence, not because you have nothing to say, but because you understand. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts. Some will think you're weak. Some will think you're avoiding the world. They don't realize silence is how you protect your energy. In a world where everyone rushes to speak, to prove, to perform, the one who can remain quiet is the one who is truly strong. We grew up surrounded by noise of expectations, noise of comparison, noise of judgment. And at some point, you start to understand you don't have to respond to everything. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. Your worth is not measured by explanations. Your worth is reflected in the way you live. Choosing silence is not leaving the world. It is returning to yourself. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is presence. It is the space where you can hear your own thoughts without the world interrupting. When you stop explaining yourself, something powerful happens. You stop seeking approval, and when you stop seeking approval, you become unshakable. Most people speak because they are unsure. They talk to fill the void. They talk to hide their insecurity. They talk because silence makes them face themselves, and they are not ready for that. But you are learning to sit with your own mind, to feel your emotions without running, to think without noise. That is strength. There is a calm that comes when you no longer need to be understood, a clarity that appears when you stop forcing connection, a quiet confidence that grows when you choose yourself, even when nobody is watching. Your silence is not your weakness. Your silence is your armor. Your silence is your power. There will be times when people misunderstand you. They will create stories about you that have nothing to do with who you really are. And you will feel the urge to defend yourself. But listen, you don't have to correct every misunderstanding. You don't have to chase every rumor. You don't have to prove your heart to those who already decided not to see it. Being misunderstood is not your failure. It is simply the side effect of living in your truth. Most people only understand from their level. And your level is changing. You are growing, evolving, shedding the version of you they once knew. They will say, "You've changed." And you have. You're supposed to. Growth is quiet. Healing is quiet. Strength is quiet. The tree does not make noise when it grows, yet it becomes stronger every single day. So let them misunderstand you. Let them talk. Let them assume. Your life does not require their permission. Your journey does not require their applause. Stay silent. Keep moving. Keep becoming. Silence creates distance, not distance from people, but distance from noise. When you step back, you see things more clearly. You notice who speaks only to be heard, who listens only to respond, and who truly understands without needing many words. Silence sharpens your intuition. You start reading energy instead of sentences. You start noticing patterns instead of excuses. You start choosing presence over attention. But remember this, choosing silence does not mean you close your heart. It means you are selective about where your heart lands. There is a difference between being distant and being intentional. One is fear. The other is power. When you are silent, you observe. And the one who observes always understands more than the one who speaks. You learn who truly cares, who only wants access to your energy, who mirrors your growth, and who drains your spirit. And this awareness is what protects you from giving too much of yourself to the wrong hands.
I want to say something honestly. I used to react to everything. If someone misunderstood me, I would explain. If someone judged me, I would defend myself. I thought staying silent meant losing. But then I realized something. Every time I tried to make someone understand me, I was handing them control over how I felt. And it made me tired, not because I was weak, but because I didn't know myself well enough yet. When I started choosing silence, I began to hear my own thoughts more clearly. I saw who cared and who only wanted my attention. I saw who supported my growth and who felt threatened by it. Silence wasn't losing. Silence was refusing to fight battles that were never worth fighting. And slowly, I became calmer, more grounded, more myself. I think at some point, we all reach this stage where we stop trying to be understood and start understanding ourselves.
When you stop reacting, you become unpredictable. And when you are unpredictable, you cannot be controlled. Most people rely on your response to validate their behavior. They want to see you angry. They want to see you explain yourself. They want to see you break your calm. Because your calm forces them to face themselves. Your silence holds up a mirror. It exposes their intentions, their insecurities, their motives. Understand this. Not responding is not surrender. It is strategy. When you speak only when necessary, your words gain weight. When you react only when it matters, your actions become louder. When you stay grounded while others lose control, you become the one with the real power. Silence is not absence. Silence is focus. Silence is patience. Silence is choosing not to waste your strength on anything beneath your growth. And the world can feel that. People may not understand you, but they will sense something different about you. Something steady. Something unshakable. That is the presence of someone who has learned to stand alone without collapsing. Silence is where you return to yourself. When the world gets loud, silence becomes your shelter. Not to hide, but to rebuild. In the quiet, you start to hear your real voice again, not the one shaped by expectations, not the one weakened by fear, not the one trying to please everyone, the voice that comes from within, the voice that knows who you are and who you are becoming. This is where growth happens, not in noise, not in crowds, but in the small moments where you face yourself honestly. Silence teaches you what truly matters, what drains you, what strengthens you, what deserves your attention, and what doesn't. The more comfortable you become with your own mind, the less you depend on outside validation. And when you no longer need approval, you become free. Free to choose your path, free to raise your standards, free to walk away from what does not align with your spirit. That is the quiet shift that changes everything. The moment you stop trying to be understood and start choosing to be yourself. Peace is not found when life is easy. Peace is found when life is heavy, and you remain steady. Anyone can appear calm when nothing challenges them, but true strength is shown when the storm comes and you do not collapse. Think of a mountain. The wind screams against it. The rain strikes it. The world around it shifts and falls, yet the mountain remains, not because it is untouched, but because its foundation runs deep. That is what silence is building inside you, a foundation that does not shake, even when everything else does. Your peace comes from depth, not from escape, not from avoiding life, but from knowing who you are even when the world tries to tell you who to be. When you learn to stand still inside yourself, no chaos outside can control you. That is a power most people never develop. They spend their lives chasing noise because silence terrifies them. But you are learning to breathe in the quiet, to listen, to hold your ground. And that is why you are becoming unshakable. Not every situation deserves your reaction. Not every person deserves your explanation. Not every insult deserves your attention. When you respond to everything, you give your power away. When you defend yourself against every opinion, you let others decide who you are. Silence is how you take your power back. When someone tries to provoke you and you do not react, they are forced to sit with their own behavior. Your silence makes them face themselves, their intentions, their insecurities, their need for control. People who try to disturb your peace are often struggling with the lack of peace in their own lives, and when you remain calm, it reminds them of what they do not yet have. Understand this. The person who holds their inner world steady controls the conversation even without speaking. Your presence becomes louder than their words. Your composure becomes the lesson. Your silence becomes the answer. And the truth is simple. If someone cannot understand your silence, they will never understand your words. Silence teaches you to observe people, to see who meets your energy and who only consumes it. You begin to notice who respects your space, who listens without interrupting, who understands your calm, and who becomes uncomfortable with it. That discomfort reveals everything. Some people cannot handle your silence because it exposes the noise inside them. They need chaos to feel relevant. They need attention to feel alive. They need control to feel secure. But you are learning to rely on yourself. You are building a life where your peace is not negotiable. And this is where many confuse things. They mistake your quiet for loneliness. They think you sit alone because you have no one. But the truth is simple. You choose solitude over shallow connection. There is a difference between being lonely and being at peace with your own presence. Loneliness is when you are not enough for yourself. Peace is when you finally are, and once you taste that peace, you stop chasing anyone who cannot meet you there. You do not need to announce your growth. You do not need to prove your worth. You do not need to explain your path. Your silence speaks for you. Your discipline speaks for you. Your peace speaks for you. Keep building quietly. Keep healing quietly. Keep rising quietly. Let your results appear on their own time. Let your transformation unfold without audience. Let your becoming be your response. And one day, the same people who questioned your silence will ask how you did it. You don't need to answer, they will see it. Stay silent. Stay steady. Stay powerful.